This is perfect, as Bill Guerin has revealed the Wild's master plan for the newly signed Danila Yurov. And yes, some clips here from 2 years ago give us a big indication as to what's to come. We have to dive into what Bill Guerin said and the future for Yurov, but we also have to talk about some offseason moves, as some reports are coming out about a specific free agent who's linked to Minnesota. Bill Guerin's going to be busy. We got to dive into what Michael Russo has said about Brock Nelson, and again, all this Yurov stuff. A bunch of great stuff coming up on this episode of Wild Digest. But before we get into all that, quick reminder, guys, 84% of you are still not subscribed. We got daily Minnesota Wild news, and we have a huge goal of 2,000 subscribers by the end of May. We're 14 days away, about 2 weeks. So if you're enjoying the content, please hit that button down below. Help us reach that goal. Thank you so much for being here. Mark, let's open up with a bit about Brock Nelson. Now, I know he's been a hot topic, and there's a lot of concern, especially over the term of his next deal. But we have some stuff from Michael Russo in his recent Athletic mailbag that I wanted to dive into. He said, I had an agent, Ben Hankinson, on KFan last week, and he made it clear Nelson would be intrigued by playing at home, and he could see a fit. But he also expected Colorado to try and re-sign Nelson. That makes a lot of sense considering the Avs gave up a ton to get Nelson, including top prospect Callum Ritchie and a conditional first. Now that's very true. But recently, Mark, just before the recording of this video, we hear from Adrian Dater on Twitter that it doesn't sound too promising that Nelson will sign with the Avs as a UFA. Now, take that for what it is. Brock Nelson had a very solid year, a little bit of a downtick in goal scoring, but his time in New York was very good. Again, I like the idea of him wanting to come home, going to Minnesota, playing with this team. The term concerns me, but, if he's not signing with Colorado, do you think there's any world, like, at the right price, Minnesota could get him and add him to this lineup?
I mean, the big thing with Brock Nelson, yes, age is going to catch up on him at some point, but still a 26 goal scorer, someone that's going to score 20 plus goals for you each year. This feels like a perfect fit to come in, fill out the second seat or the third seat. We'll touch on the possible options on that. But overall, I think if you can get Brock Nelson on a good deal, if you're going to have to go over 5 years, don't do this. But if you can get Brock Nelson on a 4 or lower deal to come home, I think it's almost the perfect fit. I don't know. People can call me crazy, but genuinely, I think Brock Nelson is still an incredible player that can show a lot of leadership and scoring on this team.
I mean, it depends, right? Again, like you said, if it's over 5 years, I don't know if I'd want to do it. But I mean, looking at this roster, there's no doubt that, especially with all the concern about Marco Rossi, even if he stays, like having a guy like Brock Nelson can just make your lineup a lot more versatile, give it a lot more depth. Now, if he's playing, say, third line type minutes, he might not produce that 25-30 goal pace, but if you put him with some good skilled players, you never really know. But again, he's 33 years old. Max I would do is 4 years, and if it is 4 years, I'd want to be at a reduced cap hit, right? But objectively, the player he is now, I mean, I'd say he's worth like, $5 million plus a season. I mean, Mark, like, what if, like, I think in a dream world here, we're talking a 2-3 year deal with like a, 5 million AAV. If that's the kind of deal that Nelson would accept, if there's mutual interest in coming home, would you go for that 2 or 3 years at around 5 AAV, or is even that too steep for you? And I pose that to the comments as well.
I mean, I think I would be fine with it. We're seeing the cap go up. It's jumping, almost 10 million over the next 2 years. This is a world where teams were struggling with cap space. We know this. The Minnesota Wild having all those buyouts. But now that that's gone, the team is going to get into the world where the cap space is not going to be that big of an issue. Yes, bringing Kaprizov back is going to cost a pretty penny, but I think overall, going out to get Brock Nelson with the cap going up, if you can sign him for 5, 5.5, 6 might be pushing it on the 4 year deal, but I do like the fit on this team, and overall, I think you can kind of swallow a contract like that.
Yeah, like objectively, if you keep this version of Brock Nelson and he doesn't deteriorate over the next couple of years, I'm fine with it. But again, there's a lot of risk with a guy at his age, but let us know your thoughts down below. I'm speaking like he's an elder. He's 33. He's not that much older than us. But hey, regardless, we got to move on. We got to move on to Danila Yurov. Of course, the big news coming out yesterday that he signed his entry-level contract. Unbelievable stuff. Love Danila Yurov. But we have some comments from Bill Guerin and just some things I want to dive into on this front. So first things first, Bill is just basically saying, look, he's a big, lanky kid. He hasn't even grown into his body yet, but the skill level, the ability to produce offense, I think that's what we're really excited about, too. That's when he was asked, hey, like, well, what intrigues you most about Danila Yurov? And it was this. It was his ability to just produce offense. That's the thing that we're getting with Danila Yurov. And, of course, his production, 49 points in 62 games, which at the time was a record for any player 20 or younger in the KHL, tied by Ivan Demidov this past year. Again, a bit of a down year this year in terms of production. Saw some reduced playing time. There's always politics with those teams, stuff like that. But it's this other thing, Mark. Now, when we're looking at where Yurov's going to fit in the lineup, we were saying in yesterday's video, maybe center, but actually it was Bill Guerin saying that Minnesota views Danila Yurov as a center and will start him there. Guerin says that that's his future, about him being a center in the NHL, says they can always move him to the wing if it's necessary. And I go back to this clip from 2023, thought it'd be worth sharing Yurov working on faceoffs, as Judd Brackett said that he could play center at the pro level. Looked strong as the session went, and the competition speed increased. Now, again, Mark, his history of faceoff percentage in the KHL is really not that great, but considering that this is their master plan for him, I love this idea. Again, he can play the wing, but the idea that he could be this almost 2C replacement if, again, Rossi gets moved, even if he doesn't get moved, I really like that they're ready to go right from day one with him.
And I mean, I think this kind of falls back on the Brock Nelson as well. This is a kid that's going to the future 2C, maybe even 1C of this team when you're moving down 2 to 3 years from now. But I think there would be a perfect layover. You bring in a guy like Brock Nelson, someone that's experienced, someone that knows how to play center at the NHL level, to let Yurov get into his own footing in the NHL. If Yurov comes in and dominates and is immediately a number 2 center, perfect. You have Brock Nelson in his not prime years, but in his good years of his career as a 3C, which is better than most teams' 3Cs. So Yurov coming in is going to be very interesting. There's so much hype around this kid. We cannot wait for him to get into this organization, playing games. Him as a future 1C is going to be very interesting. And honestly, it's going to be incredible just to see spurts of him and Kaprizov playing together already.
Yeah, and like what I love about this, again, is just the depth that he immediately adds down the middle for the Minnesota Wild, because we have some decent scoring wingers. Again, Hartman can play down the middle if you want him to. He's maybe more effective as a wing, though he's had some good years at center as well, obviously. But yeah, Foligno, you still got Zuccarello, Boldy, Kaprizov. But now you have Yurov who could play either, kind of like Hartman in a way. And again, if he does play center, let's say even Rossi stays and we don't go get a center like Brock Nelson, Eriksson Ek, Yurov, Rossi, and Gaudreau. Gaudreau being the 4C is kind of what you want, or Rossi if we're talking the playoffs. I love the flexibility this gives. Or again, you put Yurov on the wing, you bring in a guy like Brock Nelson, and then, again, assuming you do keep Rossi, which is now what I prefer to assume because I want to keep him, but regardless, Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Boldy, Yurov, Rossi, Zuccarello maybe, or maybe Yurov, Nelson, Zuccarello, and then Rossi on the third line with whoever. Clearly got a lot of chemistry with Yakov Trenin and whatever. But like, this is what I'm saying. The flexibility, this master plan for Minnesota is coming together, I think, better than we could have anticipated. And I'm excited. Like, how long do you think this experiment lasts? Do you think that if his faceoff percentage is not good, you think they'd feel free to move him to the wing? I know it depends on the other offseason plans, but like, also maybe, do you think this affects like the fact that he did officially sign now and he's going to play center? Do you think this affects the Wild's plan to go get another big name center this offseason?
I mean, I think it will affect it in a way, but if they can go out and get the perfect center to come in on a price that even maybe some other teams couldn't get, I think you have to go out and do it. Figure out positions. The big thing is, and not a lot of people look at this, a lot of players have their strong hand on the left side of the ice, the right side of the ice. So even if he comes in and you don't want him as a full-time center, let him play on his strong hand as a center during draws. This is where you can't have too many centers. If you have one thrown out, you have another one coming right through. I think the Wild are going to go out and make the team as good as they can. If they have to risk putting Yurov at wing for a little bit to bring in a big name guy, I think they're going to go out and do it. But Josh, this offseason feels like a very big make or break for this Wild team, and the direction they're going in has been quite incredible so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, the money's freed up. There's a lot left to be done. We're talking Kaprizov extensions. We're talking dealing with Marco Rossi. We're talking with Whelan and dealing for a free agent or another big trade. You got Gustavsson's extension, which can happen as well. So there's a lot of big things coming this offseason. And if you want to stay up to date, there is no better place than here by hitting that free subscribe button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching every single day. The support's been amazing. And you know we're not going anywhere. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Mark Pye. We'll catch you in the next one.